Welcome to Consistently Hashing with Gaurav. Okay, now that we have the bare bone server ready, let's go back to the server Go file. And okay, so like I mentioned, we have two more things to kind of set up in this app. The first thing is the API engine, where we are using Gin as the HTTP framework, and we'll also have to introduce we'll also have to integrate with it with Gorm, but we'll do that in some time. Right. So first, let's target API engine. Right. So what I do is again, so instead of no, I think it's fine. So let me just call serve dot. Okay. What do I name it? Okay, great. Or I just want to do setup because I don't want to explicitly call this only for the API engine, right? There may be other things that I want to do, so that's fine. So I have a setup method here. So this setup method we'll kind of call. Set everything up. So I'll just do air dot serve dot API engine dot so So Gin already provides us a basic, a default method called Gin default. This will set up the engine, and you can see that it returns a type. It returns a object of type engine, so that's fine. And I also want to ensure that there is a basic route setup. So I don't know if I have the route. Let's just do a quick check on the page. Yeah. So we'll also just say this, and then I know this is the request. Okay, so what we did here was we already had in the server object we had our API engine attribute, and we initialized this with the default engine config, which comes by default from the Gin package, from the Gin module, and then for that specific API engine we kind of defined a route that whenever a get method to the slash ping route is called, it should kind of return back a JSON, and with a status code of 200, and the whatever you see inside the gin.h is the JSON object. So gin.h is an interface, so you can kind of pass in anything that you want to. In this case, we are passing a message, and one more thing that we need to do. Okay, first, our setup is expecting an error, so we need to do that. And now when we say server.run, so what it expects is that the HTTP framework should start listening on a specific host and port. So we will make that change here. Run. I think it's run. Is it run? Let me just confirm. We'll see. And I just want to pass in the conf thing that we receive. So it will be serve.config.host serve.config.port. Right. So because the config object is inside the serve object itself, I don't have to pass anything around. So if our server config is set up properly, that means the entire app has all the right issues. Okay, some issue. Okay, I don't have return here. What else? Awesome. So if you look at the error message, right, you can see that our server was started on port 1991, and it's also already listening to the /ping route. So we can just make a quick request to ensure that everything is working properly. There's no root route, so that's perfectly fine, and this should have worked. Awesome. So we have a very bare bone API engine ready. Of course, we need to define more search routes, but I think for now this is for the API engine. This is what we'll have. Subsequently, I also want to show you how I set up the entire middleware and how to set up the entire authentication and the authorization stack. We'll do that, but before that we need to set up the DB as well. Now DB, I usually prefer setting up the DB in a different file. I just want to kind of like keeping it clean, so we'll do the same thing here as well. And then we have DB, right? So here we are defining the DB config. So the DB config, so the DB requires a lot of things, but I am planning to use SQLite. So does it actually matter? I'm just kind of thinking about it a little. I don't think it matters. I think the name of the DB should be fine, but it's okay. And we'll say from new DB, and this should also expect a config, but a DB config. And what it returns back is a DB, because this is the interface that we'll use. We'll not define our own interface, you know. So let's go to Gorm, go to docs, connect on database, go to SQLite here. Okay, we have this, and that's why it's so easy. And okay, did it import everything properly? Of course. So it imported everything properly. I also want to pass the error so that we don't have to and then so in this method, what we're doing is we're basically just checking the connection of the database. What I also want to be doing is, I mean, we're creating a connection because we want to create some DB objects, right? But if you don't have any models, then it's difficult to verify as well. I mean, of course you can. So what we'll do is we will most probably create one or two dummy models. We'll get to that, but let's first just check that the connection is set up properly. So config.name, right? And I also want to pass a DB type here. Also, it's fine. I will not overcomplicate this. Let me go back to the server config, and in setup, let's look setting the Gin engine, and then setting the Gorm object. So I've got DB new DB, what is this? Okay, I have the name now. And it's expecting a DB config, right? And where do we hope the config to be? I want to have every config in the server config. So server config is like a parent of some configs and also the child configs as well if required, right? So I'll just name it pass the DB config, and the name is webapp.db, right? So as you see, we are not introducing new objects wherever we want to. We are trying to kind of encapsulate everything, so and have proper interfaces for even smaller objects. And why I'm doing it this way, because for very basic apps you may not need to do this, but as your app explodes, right? I mean, as the complexity of your app explodes, you do need to have some kind of management to ensure that everything is being done the right way. And because everything is there in a config, I don't have to worry that much about it. So let me do one more run. Awesome. So there is something failing. So let's go to dbgo number 4. What's the issue here? Oh, sorry, I did not run go more tidy. And if I don't run that, it will not get added to the Go packages. So ideally, if there was a failure, we would have seen something now. But let's okay. 35. This is something that I don't like about Go at all, right? I mean, why does it need me to define the last comma? Must be something based on how they are passing the tokens, but that should be fine. Okay, it works. Well, let me just go to command and yeah. So sorry. Yeah, so you can see that we give the name webapp.db and a webapp.db file has been created. So right now I don't think we'll have anything in this. What was the command for this? Okay. That's one thing I don't like about because all these DBs have different commands, and because I have to switch between so many DBs, so sometimes I forget about the syntax, so it's fine. So there's no table here. One thing that we can do, let's just create a dummy model struct and just call it com.model and just have a name.string. And what we'll do is we'll just say db dot, I don't want to do it here, so let me do it here, right? Whatever we are new db, yeah. So let me basically do a auto migration here. What auto migrate means that all the tables will be automatically created for you, and any new things that you want to add will automatically be added. What will not be added is if you want to remove or drop a file, because you may have data in it already, so that will not be done automatically. So you may have to write a migration for that, but otherwise serve.db.auto migrate, and it's the dummy model. Cool. Okay, awesome. So you can see that we have the dummy model here right now, right? So this means awesome. So this means that we have a basic structure of your web app there, right? We have the API engine. We saw how we kind of use Gin to to serve your API HTTP request. And we also said that we were able to set up Gorm. And I know a lot of people say that using ORMs is bad, but I have a counter opinion about that. Maybe we'll get to that part sometime later. Okay, we'll do it now. So people say that Gorm is bad because you don't know what kind of queries you're running, and that it's very easy to kind of mess up and run expensive queries using ORMs, because it makes things so simple for you, right? My counterpoint is that if you're someone who does not know what an N+1 problem is, or does not know what kind of issues you may face with ORMs, right? And so I'm pretty sure that you would not be aware that N+1 problems can arise even if you write bare-bone SQL queries. And writing bare-bone SQL queries, also opens you up to SQL injection and so many other problems, connection pooling issues. So there are lots of issues which using an ORM kind of protects you from. So to all the naysayers, I don't think we should listen to them. Using Gorm is perfectly fine. There's a better approach as well, but that requires a little bit more investment. So there's something called SQLC, and it's basically a compiled way of defining your queries. I like that as well. That's perfectly fine. But for me, for the small web apps that I kind of build, Gorm is a perfectly great choice for me. So in the next video, we'll add some other things. So stay tuned and keep learning. Thank you.